don't think this is a silent luxury trend. I think we are fully entering a new era of dress for success. I realized this recently when I saw how glorified Sofia Richie's traditionalist transformation was online.
I cannot get over Sofia Richie's transformation into mature, modest, wifey.
But when I really started thinking about it, there's been hints. And I ask, what is the difference between silent luxury and clean girl? It's the same aesthetic. The reason I think the jump of silent luxury is more powerful than the jump of clean girl is because how it came to be. Clean girl was introduced more by the beauty community, and there were a few controversies within it. In general, it focused on slick back hair, the natural look. By the time the end of the summer came, in its peak, the brownie lip came. And who was their poster child? Hailey Bieber. She was really spearheading the whole clean girl look. When you think about what the climate was like at the time, that's when you can kind of understand more about why it all came crumbling down. I think this video does a really good recap of what happened. Hailey was really tapping into and embodying the demand of polished presentation. The controversy came when she basically wore brown lip liner and said in the caption, she's excited to wear this brownie glazed lip. This happened during a strong climate of racial gatekeeping in America. And I say racial because Hailey is half Brazilian, so the heart of the sensitivity is surrounded not by her cultural connection, but race. I think last summer there have been a lot of international discussions on the American view of culture and race, making today's climate somewhat less polarizing. However, at the time, it put the movement into a spiral. It doesn't mean that clean girl wasn't speaking to a larger macro idea, the idea of old school values, professional presentation, and really thriving in an institutional framework. My name's Nicole, welcome to Fashion Class. Today I'm talking about why I think we're moving towards a new era of dress for success. If you're not familiar with the origins of this movement, definitely go watch the video I just posted about 1970s dress for success. It gives you all the background you need to contextualize everything I'm saying much deeper. In this video, I'll talk about what we're seeing aesthetically, the climate that we're in today. I'll also reference some of the parallels with the 70s movements. And finally, I'll go through some examples of this mentality of dress for success seen in other industries. This way we can frame it more as a macro concept. The goal is I want you to start seeing fashion as movements. So let's begin. Let's talk about the aesthetic of the new era of dress for success. Like I said before, let's be real, silent luxury is clean girl rebranded. This is about a larger movement of dressing for success, which is why I'm calling it the new era of dress for success, a reference from the 1970s movement. Right now, what we are seeing is minimalism with a hero detail, like perhaps an interesting cutout. There's also clean lines, a focus on the silhouette, and a lot of neutrals. Specific articles of clothing we're seeing are tailored suits, trousers, long dresses, leather handbags, focus on texture, maturity in both the work woman and the off-duty woman. What did we see in the 70s? A lot of the same. But in general, pick up on this concept of professionalism and heightened awareness of self-presentation. Our current climate and the 1970s. There's a lot of similarities about what the climate in America and a lot of other Western countries is like now and what the climate was like in the 1970s. Essentially, there has been so much new discourse on the way different women feel empowered all over the world. Fourth wave feminism had the aim to be very intersectional, but it ended up coming with a lot of shaming of certain lifestyles. How often was a sentiment said, you know, women don't need to just be housewives. There's a shame there. And also a lot of misunderstanding about modesty and that as a form of empowerment. In the pursuit to let women compete with men, there seemed to be a disregard for women that want a traditional lifestyle. What kind of movement is this that is actively shaming a lifestyle I have chosen for myself? Doesn't sound so empowering. So I think through technology and social media, I'll get into this later, people are starting to understand it a bit more. And we have to remember, power is not just financial, it's also cultural. So in fashion, I see this greater cultural embrace of traditional femininity. Now I think the concept of empowerment is moving to be much more community-centric, nuanced, and personal. 1970s went through their own wave of feminism. For them, it was a focus on the workplace. AI threat on jobs.
Will AI take your job?
No.
What do you do for work?
I'm a PR consultant. The nuances won't be there.
So that's a common misconception. Actually, the AI can be trained exactly the nuance you want it to be trained in with its exact specific data sets you want it to be trained on. Yeah, and actually that's very simple and very easy to do. It's very cheap as well. And earliest prediction is 18 months from now, 95% of jobs are going to be gone because of AI. And that's the trajectory we're on right now by the AI specialists.
As the gentleman said, we are entering a new age of the Industrial Revolution, new service sector, a new area of labor. Many jobs will be replaced, and that brings up the question of what are we gonna do? How can we compete against AI? Well, we're gonna have to tap into the things that make us uniquely human, which is even now in great debate against AI. Currently, there's a lot of emphasis on the creative fields, which brings a whole new interest in creative branding, learning creative skill sets. In the 1970s, there was this huge decline in the manufacturing industry and movement towards service jobs. This led for them to this awareness about personal branding. So yes, I think we're going through our own version. I do think this will look differently than how it looked in the 70s. I think we have a more nuanced understanding of what professionalism looks like. Perhaps it's a heightened version of our most respectful selves, whether that's avant-garde or classics. For now though, I think because the institutional framework went through a cultural period of rejection, classics are kind of having their moment, saying, I have a function in society too. Changes in media, TikTok and the creator economy. I think people underestimate the impact of TikTok. TikTok was the first time we were having so much access and timeliness to these conversations with people all over the world. TikTok brought so much cross-cultural dialogue. The Stitch feature, allowing people to respond quickly, clearly, directly, added so much nuance to conversations.
You know, in North America right now, Indigenous kids are being apprehended solely because they're Indigenous. Right now, women are being murdered solely because they're Indigenous women. I don't want to talk about the anti-Asian racism we see every day here. I just find it really interesting how North American white women are so quick to, talk about, the injustices of Muslim women when
us Iranian women need help. And this is how you react. Instead of sharing our voice and spreading our message, you're gatekeeping activism. You're mad at Canadian white women that are supporting us.
It also exposed this concept of being a content creator as something tangible. It wasn't as great of a barrier to entry like YouTube, which for the most part requires a lot of time and energy with filming and editing. So within this era of AI and TikTok, this creator economy is just booming. In general, I think this access and knowledge of the creator economy, how to brand yourself as well, which I'll talk about more, has created this new era of personal branding. Just like in the 70s, the advent of the television and the proliferation of advertising campaigns made people more aware of branding. In fashion today, I think this translates in two ways. One, it also brings awareness about branding, and two, it allows for faster trend cycles as identity experiences are being communicated faster. Economic pressures in the West. We're going through a period of economic stress in America and in other Western countries. There's this threat of the dollar and growing strength of BRICS. There's been high inflation, and there was that whole banking situation. Also this looming recession, all of that, and then the growing threat of AI. The economic climate is a lot like the 1970s. There was high inflation, an oil embargo imposed by OPEC, and a shift in the labor economy. Back then, that meant putting your best foot forward, thinking critically about your next move, and communicating yourself in a way that projects competence. Because a lot of people needed jobs. There's competitiveness amongst a threat. In fashion today, I think that means not going too trendy. Buying clothes that reflect you as a larger idea and not just a moment. The anti-establishment sentiment defining 2020 seems to be facing great debate as opposing thought leaders are increasing in popularity. At the time, if you were to say some of the things being said now online, you would be digitally exiled. Now there seems to be a sentiment that the anti-establishment movement of 2020 really diverged from its original meaning of changing the American police industrial system. So I think culturally people are asking themselves how anti-establishment they really are. This translates to this new dress for success aesthetic with classics and minimalism that I think we're in. The pandemic. I can't talk about our climate without talking about how big of an impact the pandemic made on culture. We spent months in our pajamas, not seeing people. We heard a lot of new ideas through the media, but we didn't really do anything because we were inside. There's this spirit, this energy of wanting to go out there, go on vacations, meet new people, and live our best lives, an energy of creation. So I think that amplifies how strong of a reaction we're having today by putting our best foot forward. Examples of the new dress for success in other industries. I'm seeing other industries show this dress for success culture as well. First one, drugstore haircare. I think it's no coincidence that drugstore haircare is getting respected again.
Drugstore haircare is finally getting the justice it deserves after all of these years. I am so excited about it. I have loved so many drugstore haircare products for so long. Let me share them.
It seems like the DIY or natural products era of 2020 didn't really work for everybody. A lot of people realized their hair health is actually pretty bad. People are talking about scalp buildup. They want the sulfates back. We're also mad at the random TikTokers recommending us things that don't really work. We hate Olaplex. We want to watch knowledgeable professional TikTokers tell us what to buy. This really goes hand in hand on a social level with everyone asking how anti-establishment we really are. Are all big corporations bad? Maybe hair care isn't as much of a conspiracy as we thought it was. Can anyone call them an expert? Or does it mean something to us if they spent time to go to universities or get some sort of formal training? These are real questions, I think, being posed in society today. Vintage content. I think we're seeing a bunch of vintage makeup and hair videos for three main reasons. One, people feel like they can't trust influencers anymore. I think the Michaela mascara video had much more of a cultural impact than people realize. Whether she was dishonest about her makeup review or not, I truly don't know. It woke people up to this idea that you can't trust everyone online. Maybe we want to learn from somebody who has no incentive. For two, the cycle of trends seems ridiculous. People are feeling like they're being taken advantage of. It's not just a new product, but also a completely new method. How to do your hair, how to do your makeup. People are wanting techniques that aren't just trendy, but timeless. Things that really work. For three, people want to look more timeless. There's a nostalgia for this period because it was a really classic and traditional time. The content space, becoming a content creator and analyzing media content. There is a huge rise in media discourse and kind of this understanding of how we should be branding ourselves. It's actually kind of funny. There's a lot of content creators who tell you how to make content. It's funny, but it's a real demand. People are becoming more conscious about the science of it, how retention works, how image building works. It's not as random as we once thought it was. So there's a big interest in understanding it. ChatGPT and really all of the AI softwares. There are so many new AI apps. I even see these posts that are completely dedicated to a summary on how to use these apps because we still don't fully understand its capabilities. They give us prompts on what to say to AI, and this is only going to get stronger. It's a huge wake-up call to the technological revolution that's happening. I mentioned these points to illustrate the movement we're having towards traditionalism, self-presentation, and institutions. All main factors contributing to this dress for success era, and all propelled by this climate of technology, the economy, changes in political thought, and the pandemic. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching.